Okay, so very good evening, everybody. Warm welcome, my dear students, teachers, trainees, and trainers. Today is 26th of July 2023, and the day three of our training session. So I consider every day special because we have all come together at the right time to explore this beautiful world of Montessori teacher training, wherein we have this integration with early childhood education also. I'm very thrilled to have you all who have joined me over here. Many of them are experienced teachers, and some of you teachers are, like beginning to start with your career as a fresh trainee, your eager learners, right? So, in today's session, we're going to dive into the principles and practices of Montessori method, which we take it under EPL. And Montessori is an age old educational approach. So, most of us know it has stood very strong over the period of time. And our goal as teachers and trainees, our goal has to be to empower the little ones with whatever knowledge and skills that we have, so that we would be able to create this nurturing and engaging learning spaces with all the young minds, right? So you're with me on that. So we take on that particular goal notation because every day there has to be some kind of promises that we make to ourselves so that we would be able to be consistently committed towards what we are trying to achieve to our children. Okay, so throughout this training program, this the entire 10 or 15 days, we will learn about the different Montessori teaching techniques. We've learned about it. So we have also learned about the different areas, the 5 areas, what we have. And more or less, since the entire training program is about the practical insights of it, we are not doing too much of theory, but we will be learning more of practicals. So it's kind of a personalized training session for all of you, which gives you the rightful information, what is only required for you to present it to your children. So we're not doing anything extra. We're not doing any little, we're not doing more, but we're just doing just whatever is required. So I can consider this as a personalized learning for all of you. So whatever you do this 10 days, no? So it's to the bullet points is what I'm trying to give. If you know this, you will be able to run your classes. And we would also be able to learn on what is the role, why hands-on exercises are so important, how children are becoming independent, or how you could foster independence to children so that you would be able to guide them accordingly. Now, remember, you have to always consider this training session as your place of learning. Okay, and online courses are not less than meeting offline. So that's the reason I always tell you to keep your videos on so that I would be able to see each one of you, right? So feel free to ask questions, share your thoughts, engage in the class lessons, discuss with me, discuss with your fellow students because you're all put into groups. So don't be a quiet member of the group. So whatever you have, once you start questioning, once you start communicating in this group, what happens? Everybody will start sharing. Maybe just a small note like, we discussed this on this. What do you think about it? Initiate a conversation. So every time that you do that, what happens? Each time that there is a question in the group, every student is excited. And that's how your amazing journey would also begin. Because you're also discovering, you're also learning. And it is not only the child's transformation that is happening as a teacher, you are also transforming each day. We are learning every day something new. Okay, so let's begin our today's session with so much of enthusiasm, with open hearts and shared commitments, so that we together we would be able to shape the future of education of our little ones. Okay, so once again, a very hearty welcome to all of you. So let's make today's session truly memorable and take a little step towards becoming exceptional Montessori educators. As I would like to continue with EPL, today is the last day of our EPL session and I have to complete the entire exercises of EPL for today. So far, we have learned in EPL, it was very, very simple. I told you it has to be basic, it has to be useful, and it has to be purposeful. I repeat this every day because this has to be there in your minds. Anytime that we work on practical life skill, we have to understand practical life means it's a way of living wherein I would introduce exercises to my child which are basic, which are useful, and which are purposeful in my life. To have all this every day, I would still remember what is my aim? Why do I do these lessons into my classes? What is the purpose of it? I question myself more than once. And then you would always introduce the topic in the rightful way. We have to always remember the tips and suggestions that which I shared you in the previous classes. That is going to help you to actually work. We saw that we have 4 groups in our EPL, wherein we categorize that into preliminary exercises. Sorry, we put that into preliminary applications. We had applied applications, we had grace and courtesy, and we had control of movement, right? So these were my 4 different categories, and we have completed preliminary exercises to a larger extent. So, what was my preliminary exercises? Anything which involves basic movement, anything that is required for me to work in my society, anything that helps me to use my fine motor skills, that becomes my preliminary exercises. So we saw rolling, unrolling, carrying a tray, carrying a mat, carrying a jug, carrying a table, carrying a chair, sitting, standing, opening a book, closing a book, turning the pages, doing folding, doing pouring, and spooning. Right? So these are all coming under my preliminary exercises. So later is what we have to be working a little bit more today on the applied exercises. Now, what we have to work over here is like when I talk about my applied application, here is where I would be more interested towards making sure my skills are enabled towards my everyday necessities. For example, I would be able to be independent to care for myself. I should be independent to be taking care of my own environment. I should also take that responsibility to have that care and generosity towards the other people. So these will all come under my applied applications. So are we ready to begin with the first exercise of the applied applications? The first thing what we have to do, what is my first exercise in my applied application? That is my washing hands. The first day of our training itself, we did this exercise. We sang a beautiful song which spoke about how do we wash our hands. So, what are the materials that I need to wash my hands? The first important task for all you teachers is that you need to be taking care of some materials. That means you will not be doing this demonstration in the washroom. Rather, you will be doing this demonstration in your class. Okay, so you will do this demonstration in your class. So when you are doing this demonstration in the class, what are my materials required for me to actually work with this? What are the different materials I need?
Tray, glass,
I
Tray,
water,
tray.
soap,
I needed.
glass, water,
Okay, I need
sponge,
glass. I
tub,
need
sponge,
uh,
sponge,
hand wash, tub,
sponge,
ma'am, napkins,
tab.
tub,
You need a napkin. Yes.
Soap, liquid soap.
soap, liquid,
You
soap,
need
liquid
soap,
soap,
or I need a liquid soap, right? So we need a soap or we need liquid soap.
We need a towel.
You
A
need
liquid
a
napkin.
soap.
hand towel or a napkin. Yes.
napkin, okay.
So that
Table,
has to be wet or dry. You need to specify that also. The napkin has to be dry or wet.
wet,
So you need
wet,
to have a dry
dry,
napkin or a dry.
dry,
Dry napkin.
Yes. Do we also need apron? Definitely yes. We can
mug,
also have an apron.
apple,
Okay. Now, how do we demonstrate? Now it is winter. Just imagine it's rainy season. What if I'm wearing a full arm? My first step is towards rolling my sleeves. I need to
sleeve,
roll my sleeves before introducing washing hands to my child, right? So once I have this, what do I do? How do I present it? How many children do I take? How many children do I take?
Ma'am, 5.
Four,
Yes.
five.
Maybe the minimum can be 3, the maximum could be the entire class. So you actually prepare the children. The children, I'm going to be helping you to wash my hands. So what do? We put on our apron very well. We roll up our sleeve. Now, what if I have any jewelry? I need to remove that. So to remove this and keep it, I need to also have my jewelry box. So wherein I have to keep, because you need to also educate the children on that. And no jewelry in the class, but still, in case if any child has bought that or is wearing any rings or watches or bracelets, we actually have to remove it when they are introducing it for the very first time. Right? So now is what you're going to be doing the actual presentation. So did we forget about the basin? Forgot about, yeah, tub is there. So we
tub
start,
is there, ma'am.
yes. So you will start with keeping the basin. Now the basin has to be empty or it has to be full.
Empty,
One should be
Yeah.
empty, one should
An
be
empty
full.
one.
empty,
So should I have a bucket which is filled with water?
Yes.
Again, the water
Yes.
temperature can depend on my weather. I can have a
Yes.
lukewarm water or not a very cold water at the beginning. Okay. Do I need to have a jug? If I'm taking a bucket,
Yes.
I need to have a jug, right? Because I'm going to be
Yes.
pouring. Now see how every activity is getting connected. You're helping the child to carry, then again there's a bucket full of water. Now you're actually taking water from the jug, then you're pouring it onto your basin. Now you're getting it? What are we
Yes.
trying to do here? We are trying to have a similar exercise being repeated. Now again, you do, where do I position my jug? So you need to find a spot on the table, right? So how do we work on this is like, I would be setting a washing table, okay? I will be setting a table. I can call this as a washing table. I sat there. I have to place my basin here. Maybe I'll give positions like where I have to keep my jug, where I have to keep my soap, where I have to put my hand towel. And under this is what I will be placing the bucket. So all these presentation steps, the teacher is going to do it much before. Now, why do you think that we need to be working on this exercise? Because you're teaching them an important concept which is related to hygiene, right? So it is related to cleanliness,
Yes.
and you always say cleanliness is close to godliness, right? So you always say that you have to be clean. You have to wash your hands. You also give them the directions when to wash. Before and after the food, and after you use the restroom, or before, sorry, for example, before you put anything into your mouth. So that is also important. And when do we wash our hands after that? Because if you're caught up with cold or cough, you're continuously sneezing, coughing, right? Then also you need to go frequently, wash your hands and come back. So you educate children and tell them the purpose of washing the hands, and you will also tell them the situations at which you more often you wash your hands. Okay, so these are certain things that we would be working. Now coming to the demonstration as such, how do we demonstrate? That becomes my important question. Okay, so does it come under what? Does it come under washing, caring myself, or caring environment?
Caring
To
both.
myself.
Myself.
Caring about yourself, right? So it comes under caring yourself. So let's
Caring
quickly
myself,
take a look.
ma'am.
Yes, caring yourself, right?
Caring myself, ma'am.
Definitely, yes. So now I'm
Ma'am,
going to be preparing
that's
and
under
showing you
independence. Becoming independent.
becoming independent. True. Now take a look over here. Now this is the table setup which is completely done. You have an empty tub, you have a jug full of water, you have a hand towel, then you have a brush. Now why brush? In case if my nails are dirty, if I've used mud, if I've used clay, sometimes my nails would get dirty. We agree on that? So you need to have a tiny brush also. So this has to be your prepared exercises that you have. And Shefali, you can introduce this in your classes for playgroup also, because the children have an EPL activity on washing hands. And see, you have a liquid soap. Now, what do you do here? Now you would introduce them to transfer the water. The teacher can initiate this exercise. You can completely transfer, or you do it according to how much you need. Now, every time the child washes their hand, the water should be taken off. Okay, so you should have another empty bucket to throw this water. Now, you would soak your hands into it. You will water it nicely. This is how you would start with the demo. Okay, everybody knows washing hands, but whoever is writing a diploma exam in your demonstration, this is how you have to demo. The soap needs to be taken in both the hands. You would rub and scrub, and you would go on and on. You would also
Use the brush too.
wait until you get a good amount of lather. You will be able to work with your fingers. Between the fingers, you would also have to clean up your nails using the tiny little scrub, right? So one after the other. So what is a minimal time that we do? 25 seconds to 30 seconds is the minimal time that you all have to be working with. Now say in case if my nails are dirty, then
We'll
I
use
can
a brush.
brush. I can use my brush. Okay, so you can always ask children to use the brush. So it's very important that we don't wash one hand. We have to wash both the hands. We have to wash the top of the hand, the bottom of the hand, in between of our fingers. We have to also wash our fingernails, and you would proceed further. Now, once I'm done with everything, again, I have to damp it down. Now I can exactly, like in case if I still have my dirt, I use this brush to clean off the excess dirt over here, and I gently would do that. Then I would discard this wastewater. I have to wait until all the droplets have fallen down. Then I would pour it again so that, my next child is able to use it properly. What happens next? I have to discard that water. I have to keep an empty bucket also. Now, this pouring, the teacher would be able to work with that. You need to also keep the tub clean. It's not that you just do that. Now, again, I have to pour the dry cloth, clean up everything, wipe everything, put all the materials. Once I'm done with this, I would also wipe my table. How do I wipe it? This is a different exercise which talks
Napkin.
about wiping a table. Now, this is one of the skill that we also learn. How do we fold a napkin when there is an exercise of wiping something? Now, you would have to spread the napkin, put out your palm, and then you would close it. With your thumb, you would hold it. And this is how you would be wiping your table. You go either vertical or you go horizontal. This is your way that you will have to be doing. Or you do a complete valley fold, hold it with your palm, and then you can also rub it also. Now, this becomes your first exercise, which helps us to learn about washing our hands. It looked so simple, but the demonstrative purpose had so many steps to follow. Now, are we good to go with this exercise? Will you be? I think many of you are excited to do this right away tomorrow, right? Let me see in case if you can quickly introduce this tomorrow. So gather all the tools as soon as you go to your school tomorrow and have a presentation. It need not be that the children will also have to do it tomorrow itself. You can demo it tomorrow. Let them observe. You can also demonstrate it day after. Let them observe. After 2-3 days, you ask them to come and do the same way, like how exactly that the teacher actually showed them. So they would be more excited to work on it. And that's our first exercise towards our taking care of oneself. So let's move to the second one. The second one is related to my dressing frame. Please note down, we have dressing frames in Montessori. And why should we use dressing frames? What is the purpose? Can somebody tell me? Yes?
To look at ourselves,
Fine motor skill.
Fine motor, definitely yes.
how
Eye and hand coordination.
Hand-eye
To be
coordination.
independent
To be
child.
independent, yes. What else?
He may know how many types of buttons are there. I mean,
How many types? What are the different kinds of yard dressing frames are there? Yes. So all of that. Yeah.
Make them independent.
Independence. See, the main thing over here is like independence. We are only concentrating so that the child is very independent to take care of himself, right? So dressing is the primary task, and it needs a lot of manipulative movements because we include our dresses include a lot of buttons. Sometime our dresses might have hooks. Our dress might have a zip.
laces,
A dress might have
lip,
a lace. A dress might
ribbons.
have a snap, that's Velcro. Or we might be tying something. Or we might wear a shoe which has a lace. So I have to encounter so many things. Now, for us, it might be easy, but for a child, do you think these exercises could be easy?
no.
Very challenging. They're quite challenging. So, how do we work over here? Now, every time you give them these exercises, not only it is helping them to work on their independence, but as you said, it is helping them on their fine motor development. It is also helping me to work on my hand and eye coordination also,
Eye
right?
coordination.
Because I need to have a good hand-eye coordination. Only then my finger movements would be better. Only then I would be able to put it. So don't you think it is also helping me on the control of my finger muscles? You
Yes.
also think that I'm strengthening my hand muscle? Now, what if I'm a left-handed boy or a left-handed girl? I would also be, the teacher will also be able to figure it out depending upon the dexterity. Is the child left-handed or right-handed? Because the child is doing the most difficult task through left or right. So all these things will help me to work on the development of my dexterity. And it is also helping me to control my movements. So they all come under fine motor. Now, what could be my other thing? What could be my other advantages?
Sensorial activity. It enhances their senses.
Yes, definitely yes, because you are giving the child to hold the dressing frame, they're seeing the dressing frames and they're able to do it. Definitely yes, there is some kind of a sensory development which happens. Totally agree with that. What about our concentration?
Yes.
It's
Focus.
increasing
Yes.
because it's like one specific task. Now, again, we are isolating the task, we are not combining everything. And we are doing not one day, we are doing a lot of repetition. The child is actually practicing. So, there is a gradual increase of the child improving their ability. See, no child will be able to button, unbutton, zip, unzip. They will not learn it in one day. So, there would be a gradual improvement, and the child becomes able to do all of that, and eventually they become independent to dress themselves. Correct? Now, do you also feel that there is order and sequence? Every time that I'm asking them to open, I only tell them to do one instruction, then come to the second one and do one instruction. So we will always follow a sequence and order. That means again one sequence per step. So again, indirectly, I'm also helping the child to work on actions, whatever the teacher says, and that has to be applied to the life also. Correct? So problem
Yes.
solving, they will not have any problem, because dressing frames itself is a very challenging thing. When the child is manipulating with all those dressing frames, indirectly they're also developing on solving the problems, guys. So that is all there. Okay, now you can
Confidence.
add on to all your other kind of advantages, whatever you have it, please add on, because it is all self-help exercises. So these exercises will help the child to work on themselves. Okay, so that's something which is more essential. Okay, so what are the different dressing frames I have? We begin with buttons, we begin with snaps, we begin with hook and eye, we have buckles, we have what else? Bow. Yes, we
Laces.
have lacing.
Hooks.
Yes,
Zip,
we have hooks.
zip,
Correct.
zip.
Laces.
Zips.
Zips.
Correct. So we have almost covered everything. But how do we do that? How?
Safety pin.
Hmm? Yes, you were saying.
Safety pins.
Safety pins also are there. Correct. Safety pins are also a part of our dressing frame, but they don't come as a frame. But we will be able to work into an exercise itself. Okay. Now, does it come under EPL? Yes, everything comes under EPL. Under what category? Is it applied or is it preliminary application? Is it an applied application or preliminary?
Applied,
Applied.
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 Applied
Applied.
application. Again, in applied, does it come under taking care of oneself or taking care of the environment?
Taking
Taking
care
care
of
of
one.
Oneself.
oneself.
Oneself. Oneself.
Definitely, yes. So here we begin. So we're going to be working on the following dressing frames. We begin with the first one. So this could be my hook. Now, do you see that there is a hook here? That's the hook. This side is the hook and this side is the eye. So this dressing frame is called hook and eye. If you don't have this frame, get a blouse to the class, ask the child to open the hook and close the hook. Any of the dress material which has hooks, you can always give this. Okay, so you can always do that. So again, putting back the hook into the eye becomes your first exercise, which talks about hook and eye. What could be my next one? So the second dressing frame that I could introduce could be snaps. Now snaps, they come in different things. They can also be a snap button. This is a snap button, which we also call it as a press button. Okay. Otherwise, even Velcros does come. So you can either take the snap buttons or the Velcro button. So what did I do here? I unsnapped. Now I would snap. Every time you snap, you will should be able to hear a sound of snapping also. So you have to introduce to the child saying, be quiet and listen to the sound. Is it snapped or is it not snapped? Okay. So that becomes my second one. Now, even here in buttons, we do get different sized buttons. We get a small sized button frame. We also get a large sized button frame. Okay. So this one is a big button frame. Now, this needs a lot of effort. So with the right hand, you need to have a lot of finger pressure to pull the fabric. Only then the button will be loosened up so that you can push the button into the hole. Now, hole is nothing but that hole. That hole is what we have. So we call that as hole. So the button will be inserted into the hole only after you pull it. But when you present it to the child, you have to be able to say. So what am I doing? I did the unbuttoning. Now I am buttoning. So this is one of my exercise. What is the purpose of doing this? So we have all learned that this is going to help me to work on my hand-eye coordination. It is also helping me to work with so that I would be able to care for myself. I become much more independent. So what ages do I start with? I can start with 2.5 years to 4 years of age. So likewise, I can also have the other one. So yesterday we saw about lacing and unlacing, right? So we also saw a dressing frame which was related to lacing. We can also have a dressing frame which can be related to small buttons also. So that could also be one of it. Now I can also have a dressing frame which was related to bow, right? So how do I bow and how do I unbow, right? So I can also pick up those particular aspects and I can also show to my children. So that is also going to be helping me towards it. So this is my other dressing frame. So it always comes with different colors and I'm only concentrating on one action, see, then I would not be interested to remove the knot, but I will go to the next bow and try to loosen that up. I go to the next one, I loosen that. So one action at a time. So this is one of the purpose of my dressing frame that I should be able to work with. So then I repeat for all of them. Then I actually have to loosen the knot. Then I use my index finger. Then I can put my index finger into it and to remove both the strips and I have to keep them apart. Okay, so we continue the same and then we should be able to bow it. So bowing I showed you yesterday. How do we work on it, right? So we have to do a crisscross and then you have to take your yellow color or the red one into it, get a knot done, tighten that a little. I'm going to show you one, so you're going to repeat the others. We saw the same exercise yesterday, so one at a time. We're just crossing that over. So the child is mastering only one movement over here. Okay. Then afterwards, the child learns to bow that. Coming around, going underneath. And now you start pulling the yellow and the... Now, did you notice how gentle the hands were? There was no hurry. The teacher did not hurry up. You were very quiet and the child was also observing you, how quiet you were. So that becomes my second exercise when I'm actually working in my class, which talks about my dressing frame. So likewise, I can also have my third one, which talks about my safety pins. Okay, so we never had this before, but these days we have also added to safety pins exercises also. So safety pin exercise can also be included for children to actually work. Okay, so let's see that also. So I'm
Can
just
that also go into the sharp edges things which they carrying sharp edges? Because if the pin is open, it might hurt them.
but you're not giving that exercise itself, right? So
Okay.
when you're
No,
introducing,
can we include that?
you can include when you're introducing that as a sharp edge. Definitely, yes, you can include. You can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Always use these kinds of pins because they are little child friendly. Okay, don't use the regular ones. Slightly use a bigger ones at the beginning. And make sure the tips are not blunt. Sometimes we think we need to use a blunt pin. No, it has to be a sharp pin itself because it becomes easy for a child also to put it. It has to be all the objects should be real. Okay, we can't have anything which talks about not being real. So we have to use everything that is real. Okay, so that covers your second part of it, which was taking care of. What is it?
Oneself.
Taking
Dressing.
care of oneself.
Oneself.
Taking care
Let's
of
move
us.
Dressing
on
frames.
to
Yes.
how can we take care of. Now you're taking care of your environment.
Environment.
Environment. So we take care of our environment in a very nice and a healthy way. And we begin by doing what? Yes,
To be clean.
to be clean. We to be clean or the environment to be clean?
Environment to be clean.
Environment.
Environment. Yes.
By not putting, the chocolate
To
wrappers
place
everywhere,
things
put
organized.
it in the dustbin.
Very
Use
good.
the dustbin.
You'll be able to thrash everything in the dustbin. Very good.
Segregate the dustbin, wet dustbin or dry dustbin.
Dusting
Dusting. Yes, you will be able to dust.
the furniture.
Growing a plant.
By
Sweeping
growing
Mopping
plant, definitely yes.
the
And
floor.
teach them segregate the
Caring
garbage.
for plants.
Okay, so you will have a lot of plants.
Sweeping,
Caring
mopping,
for plants.
Caring for plants, yes.
sweeping, mopping.
Sweeping, mopping, yes. But what could be the other ones? So we do, these are the exercises, right? So these are my exercises like which I'm promoting. Now I could be like, now how do I take care all of this in my classes? This is a big question for me. How do I take care? How do I keep my environment clean? That is again my question. So which is something which is more challenging for most of you, right? So what we can do over here is like in case if I have my classroom,
Not to spill food.
not to spill food, correct. So maintaining and creating a very clean and an orderly environment becomes your first task, correct. So what we do over here is like in your prepared environment also, you should always give more priority to keep your class clean. It is not only keeping clean, at the same time you also keep everything in order. There has to be an orderly arrangement. Anything and everything, keeping the books in place, that is also related to your taking care of your class. Everything has to be organized. So even when the teacher is not there, the child should be able to pick certain things. So don't you think that we are promoting the physical well-being of a child, thereby not be making him dependent on somebody? We are making
Yes.
him quite independent there. Don't you also think that we are fostering responsibility for the child? The child is responsible to pick things because
Yes.
everything is so orderly kept. And don't you think that when we keep back the materials in an orderly fashion, we are respecting that place? So we are respecting the environment, correct? So it's always easy to tell, but it's a very tedious task for teachers and all of us to actually do it. So how do we work on that? Can some tips be given to work on this?
After put back toys.
Yes. After you finish everything,
Clean up, clean up
just one
every
second.
toys.
1 second. Okay. So we were talking about it is easy to say about it, but could be difficult for us to actually work on it. So what do we work over here is like we can provide some tips to work on this. The first important thing is like we need to have a routine. Every class should have a routine. When do we do the cleanup? Once our class is done, maybe we do our cleanup. So what do we do here? Should I be doing everything? Should the aunties be doing everything? No, you have to involve children. Try to involve the children in the cleanup activities. So when we involve them, what happens? It could be dusting my shelf. I can involve them in dusting my shelf. I can involve them in tidying my materials. I can involve them in wiping the tables. I can involve them to rearrange the books, to keep the crayons. I can involve them to sharpen the pencils, to throw the trash of our class. Many things. But do I have to assign specific tasks to children? Definitely yes. So you can have a cleanup chart and you can always say 4 children into cleaning, 3 children into dusting, 2 children into tidying, and 2 is going to wipe up our tables. Just a sponge and water. The child will have to dip it into the water and they will just sponge it out. So the last 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you can play some songs on cleanup. and you can sing. That also becomes like an activity. So you can always say like, clean up, everybody, let's clean up, hurry up, hurry up, let's keep our class very tidy. Okay, so you can sing some songs, be very joyful even when you're doing, so the child will never get exhausted in doing any such exercises. So you can also promote the same kind of exercises on your orientation program. So you can also talk to your parents, and you can also ask them to reinitiate the same exercises at home. If the child is not doing at home and they're making them do in school, that is again a misconception of Montessori education, wherein people say that Montessori schools make children to work. No, Montessori schools are preparing children for life, right? So their child will never hesitate to do the household chores. Otherwise, they're like, why should I do? Auntie is there, she will do. It's not my responsible task. This younger generation children, they don't want to work also. So that could be one of the reasons that Montessori is preparing the children for life. The second thing you have to be very careful about is the materials that you would be able to choose. That means the use of your cleaning materials. What I have to use here, I have to give them small brooms, but it has to be a broom. It has to be a working broom. I have to have dust pans. I should also have lot of sponges in my class. I need to have spray bottles. Instead of bringing water from the mug and doing it or sprinkling it, always have a spray bottle when you're washing tables or when you're wiping the table. If you find it very difficult for you all to do all the activities together, take up one activity. Let's spray. Few children will spray the water. Few children will wet sponge it. Few children will dry. Using the dry cloth, they're going to wipe the table. And the others are going to be keeping it. So the others can actually watch. And then let them take turns. The next table, you give an opportunity to the other children. So I'm going to be keeping all of that. Now, what happens here is like, in case if you're working with younger kids, don't use any cleaning solutions. You don't use any cleaning solutions. Let it be just water, because we don't know if the child is very allergic to any cleaning materials. We don't know. Over a period, once the child is like 6 years and 7 years, you can ask them to wear gloves and you can give them the very mild cleaning solutions also. Okay, you can always do that, but make sure the materials are age appropriate, they are safe, and you are there supervising the child most of the time. So this is related to my cleaning materials. Now, what is my third tip? What about my technique? It is not that however I want, I would introduce. It's never that way. I have to give them a technique. I have to give them a technique wherein my child is going to be learning, right? So take time to demonstrate. It's a lifelong process. Your child is there with you for a year. Towards the end of the year, if the child is learning this technique is also, it's good. So take your own time to demonstrate. Let the child learn how to use this cleaning material. Show them the proper technique. Now I can slowly initiate more. It's not only on that. In case if I'm doing my art class, if the children have glittered everywhere, I can ask them to pick up. So I can start singing bits of paper lying under the floor. Let's pick it up, let's pick it up. And then you go again. I could work on sweeping. I could introduce mopping for children. I could introduce wiping for children. I could also introduce polishing for children. I could also introduce like cleaning mirrors. Okay. So again, dusting the railing. Whatever that you want to your maximum effectiveness, you should give them the activities. Why? Because if you do not engage them in the rightful way, the children can go out of control. You have to keep them busy all the time, activity after activity. Give them more and more so that they are exhausted by the end of the day. And the child will be able to eat better. And the child has also mastered so many skills. Now, when I do all of that and I introduce the techniques, I am also working on promoting responsibility. The child is becoming much more responsible to keep their classroom clean and organized, right? So what better we need more than that? The child is also respecting materials. They know how to carry from one place. They know how to move it back to the shelf gently without damaging anybody. Now, what about the shoes? Okay, but in case if any of the schools are allowing indoor shoes, the child should also be careful when they're actually walking on these floors. Sometimes the indoor shoes also can dirty the space, right? So you need to be a little careful on that. Now, what about inspections? You need to always have inspections of your classroom just to ensure all materials are in proper places. So if there are any center heads, okay, I know you want to trust your teachers and aunties and everybody, but regularly, once in a while, please go to any classroom without telling, and you will find so many mistakes. It's not mistakes, so many things can go here and there. So that's a collaborative way you work. Okay, inspections are really good. You can retrospect, you can learn from it, and you can always grow together. So that's something which is required. And keep a lot of storage, so it will be helpful for you. Keep a clear storage, so you will be able to see what's labeled and kept inside. And always model cleanliness. As teachers, you should lead by example. If you see anything in your class which is just there, you can say, oh, this cannot be here. So where it should go? Question. Question. When you go to classes, what happens is, like, you see sometimes when I go to inspections, I see some of the classes are very quiet. So children are never encouraged to talk. They have to talk more, right? So you need to be a lead example. So they have to also express their ideas. You can keep questioning them. I find a piece of paper here. Should it be lying on the floor? You ask them, you model your head. No, it can't be there. If I find it, what should I do? I just pick it up. I just walk quietly. I find the dustbin there. I'm going to put it into the trash. So when you demonstrate this model, what happens? The child will also keep demonstrating the same thing. Okay. So when we start integrating these practices into our daily routines, don't you think that our classroom space is becoming clean, order, and we're all responsible for that? Now, who is introducing all this? All you teachers. And who is valued by that? The children, right? So indirectly, we are working on having a productive learning environment wherein we are focusing on the educational aspects of keeping our things under control and taking care of our place where we are. So having all of that, Dr. Maria Montessori also believed that children needs to be exposed to many such exercises where they not only care about themselves, they also take care about their environment. It starts from using chalkboards. When the children are using chalkboards, after they finish using the chalkboard, sometimes we leave the chalkboard, right? So we start our class activity from what? By cleaning our green board. So you can never leave your class without cleaning your board. So you can have a handful of tray. You can bring that into your classroom. Be a model wherein you would clean your class. So you get those tiny buckets. We use these tiny buckets. You can always use that. Have little water in that. You can always have a waterproof apron if you want to demonstrate it. Otherwise, it's not required. Keep a cloth on the table. So if there's any spillage, because we use a lot of wooden tables, right? The table should also be taken care. We don't want the table also to be taken care. So use materials like sponge, I need to have all of that. Now, if the child is using a small writing board, okay, then is what I'm going to be using the small sponge. If the teacher is using her class blackboard, you can use a larger sponge depending upon what board you're actually using. Now here we are demonstrating with a regular class sized chalkboard. I think our M2C and M2B have been introduced to this exercise. They are writing on the chalkboard and they know to wash it off. Okay, so it's always vertical or it's always horizontal. So let the child do that and always let you do it. Once I'm done with this, I take my dry cloth. It's always folded. I insert my 4 fingers into it. I need to also dry it. Then I have to dry it. Okay. So I gently go on my circular motions and I rub it. Okay. So I have for all the children all? No. One material only. one material only. Every day you ask one child to do this exercise. So everyone are watching it and everybody is able to remember and do that also. So if you're having a larger number of students, so this becomes your first exercise of cleaning it. Okay, whatever is my necessary, could be dry or wet clothes, I have to replace that with new sets of dry ones. So we fold it back and put it into the rightful place. So since it was wet, I would not fold it, but I would just hang it onto the bucket itself. So this is my exercise where I would be cleaning my chalkboard. Okay, so I return back my shelf. So that was my first one when we talk about the environment. See, beautiful it is. Children love doing these exercises. Okay, we were like doing it naturally. Now we are forced to put all these things in schools, so the child will learn to do all these exercises with so much of interest and love. Okay, so what could be my second one? The second one I start could be dusting the table. You also see a lot of dust that actually accumulates. There are different ways that you would be able to dust. Okay, so one I will show you two ways how we fold the napkin. The first one is you will unspread the napkin completely, and then you will do so many folds into it, diagonally into it. So you will unfold it, and then you would do diagonally across. You actually fold it, so you put your point in the center. This is again a skill wherein I'm teaching the child the different ways to fold a napkin. I need to keep it very small, so then again I would again do a mountain fold on it. So if you want to turn it, you please turn it and fold it. Now what I do, I grab everything inside my palm and I gently dust my table this way. Okay. So I would take that and I would gently dust it. Do I begin with that? Yes. I hold the entire cloth with my palm. Yes. And we can hold it a little tighter and we go dusting it. But you have to make sure you do from corner to corner. It's also important. So the error of control for children teachers is like they do only here and there and they say, ma'am, I'm done. No, it has to go from corner to corner. So that's the reason you go very slow, ensuring that this is all done. So you go this way, you take it out. So corner to corner is important. So that's how you should be able to dust it. So this is my first way of doing it. What's my second way? Do I have another way? Alternative ways? Definitely yes. So how do I do? The second way. Anybody? What is the second way? Dusting, same thing. I showed you, right?
Horizontal.
Horizontal. Say, for example, in case if this is your napkin, what I do is like, I can put it this way. Then I fold this one. I fold this part. And I do this. I keep it this way. And then I hold it. Sorry. Okay, so if this is my cloth, I should be able to do it this way. I have to hold it. Only thing is like I need to have good amount of support to hold the cloth. Okay, so this is how I should be able to do it, not this way. Okay, this is my second way of doing it. But the first way, I would be putting my hand into it and then I should be able to rub it. Okay, so that gives me two ways of dusting it. Now coming to the next thing, children are using a lot of things on tables. Tables get messier.
Yes.
What do you do? What do you do? Now it's time to converse. What do you do when the tables are getting messier?
Use napkins.
Yes, correct. What else?
Explaining the kids not to spoil, how to eat.
Yeah. In spite of that, still your tables are getting dirty.
Yes.
Tables are getting dirty. So what do we do? Once in a week or once in 3 days, you can always have a Montessori exercise which talks about cleaning our table.
Cleanliness.
Cleanliness. Yes. Again, we have to be working towards cleaning our tables. So what we do is like we do a table washing exercise. So whenever we work on the table washing exercise, there has to be two bins that needs to be set up for all of us. For example, I need to have a table that is dirty, and on the floor, I have to have these many exercises. Please note down, this is how you will demonstrate in your exam also. So what do? You spread a napkin on the floor and your table is all ready. Correct? So what do I do first? I have to gently spray some water, take some soap using a brush. Now I am going to brush my table in circular motions. Wherever there are any stains or something, I have to use this gentle brush, go circular motions. I don't water too much, right? So this is how you do that. So what I could do, I can pour the clean water into my jug. So sometimes I would also not be using this. I can gently use the spray bottles onto it, use a little bit of soap, and then I should be able to work on it. These are different ways. If you're doing exam, if you're giving exam, these are the steps that you need to be following. So when we work on the AMI guidelines, we need to be using the same way of washing a table. So what is my material required? I need a cloth to accommodate the layout of the material. So on the ground I've kept. So do I need a jug? Definitely yes, to put my water. I need a basin? Definitely. I need a bucket to hold my water. I need a brush on a dish. I need a sponge on a dish. I need a bar of soap again on a dish. I need a drying cloth and I need an apron. These are all my materials which is required for my demonstration to my child. Now I slowly present to the child. Okay, I tell them that we put on our aprons and we bring that appropriate materials to the space. Using the sponge, I dip and I do cover from bottom to top or from top to bottom. Once this is all done, what do? Squeeze it back, put it onto the dish. Now take a little bit of the brush, gently dab onto water. Use the soap. It might find very funny, but we have to do that. Once or twice you make children do these exercises, they will stop spoiling the tables. Because now the child is much responsible in cleaning your table. So always your movements has to be circular. Guys, always circular. Don't leave out any part. Complete the entire table. Once this is done, use a dry sponge, wet sponge to clean off the edges. Now use a dry towel in the circular motion. You would dry off your table. Discard the wastewater onto it. Now again, you're going to be wiping or you're going to clean that with the clean water one more time. Use a sponge over there. Now discard the water. Now you're going to be drying that using another dry cloth and you would be able to keep all the supplies back in place. So that is my third exercise, which talks about washing my table. Okay, now tell me, how was that exercise? Exhausting? Should we do that in class? Is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
exciting or is it
It's
exhausting? Everybody has
interesting.
become quiet now. Divya ma'am is making
Exciting.
everybody do a lot of work today. Clean and clean and clean. Everybody is quiet. Jadu, pocha, I'm making everybody do all. Huh? Yes, it's required, guys. Okay, they're going to be working on that. So that's anyways there for us. And yeah, we can't avoid. Okay, so if you want to take a quick break, we can sing a song. So that again brings us into a break also. Now put your pencils down. So I know today's session is a little cleaning session. We all do that at home and we're listening now. I know. Yeah. Rub your palms. Rub your palms. Okay, so now everybody give me a thumbs up, arms out, thumbs down, cross your arms, open your fingers, clasp it, rotate it, get closer to your chest, and say that you love yourself. Say, I love you. Not to me, to yourself. Tell your name and you say, I love you, Divya. I love you, I love you, I love you.
I love
You can say your name. You can say your name. Yes.
I love me.
Yes, tell your name. What's the hesitation to tell your name? I love myself. I love you, Divya. I love you so much.
I love Prepti.
I love
I love Lucky.
I love Shefali.
Okay, you love Shafali, not to the others. You can't. Yeah, you can do that. Okay. Now, come on, everybody, kiss your brain because your brain is getting exhausted with so much of information. All that love, let it get passed on to your brain. Okay, so you're loving your brain to keep all this information because we're going to have a test also. Okay, a surprise test also just to check how much has gone in, seeped in, soaked in, right? So we'll see on that too. Okay. Okay, nevertheless, on that. Now, everybody again, clasp your fingers. Draw the brain grains. So look at your fingers, get it closer to your chest. Now, everybody concentrate on your fingers and open one by one and close it. You might find it difficult as you open the ring finger. The little one might also try to pop up, but try to avoid. How many of you all had that difficulty when you're trying to open the ring finger? The little one was also trying to pop up, right? So yeah, so you can increase your concentration over there. So we can always work on those exercises to our children. Okay. So again, rub your palms. Okay. So again, give yourself a good warm around your palms. Gently press onto your fingers, writing so much. After every period, our children need a gentle massage to their fingers as well. Again, rub your palms. We can always do the stretching exercises. We can always do that. Yes, you can do this. You can have a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stimulate every finger of yours. Stimulate. Just give a gentle press. Let it relax. So let it relax all your fingers. Okay. Now come on, shake your fingers. Wiggle it. Wiggle it. Loosen it up. Loosen it a bit more. Loosen it. Wiggle it high. Wiggle it low. Stretch your arms and wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Stretch it and wiggle. So I'm stretching my arms. Okay. Let me remove my background so you will be able to. Now keep wiggling. Okay, so you can stretch your arms. Try to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Stretch it up and wiggle. Stretch it down. Wiggle, wiggle. Okay, so you keep doing all of that. Okay, feeling better? Yeah. Let's go back to our class. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So you can always take periodic breaks. Yeah. So we're all getting exhausted end of the day, but still, yes, I love you all for keeping up with so much of energy. Okay. So let me quickly go back to our class. So going back to the next exercise after we did a lot of washing and washing and washing. Now let's go for polishing. We did a lot of washing, so now let's do polishing. Now, what can I polish? I can polish either wood or I can polish my shoe, right? So shoe, we have done it yesterday, so I would not repeat that today. So today we're going to learn on how do I polish my wood. So what are the materials that I need? Now you got to tell me.
Polish,
Yes, I need a mat. You should never forget. Okay, you need a mat.
Mat.
And
Mat.
anything that is going to dirty your mat. Okay, so anything that is going to dirty your mat, we will use something alternative for that. We will not use mat, rather we will use oil cloth.
oil cloth.
In Montessori, we call it as an oil cloth. So anything that spills also, with just a wipe, we will be able to clean it. So we don't use a mat, we use an oil cloth. Do I need a basket? Definitely yes, I need a basket. Why do I need a basket? Because I'm going to keep my polish in my basket. Okay, I'm going to keep a dish. Dish is nothing but a tray, okay, a small tray. So I'm going to keep a dish for my polish because I would be keeping my polish on that. I would also be keeping some cotton balls.
Ten balls.
Cotton balls, I should be keeping it. And I should also keep a cloth Again, the cloth should be folded so that it becomes easy for me to do that. I need to also have a sponge or a brush, right? So these are my requirements that I have. So what do? I take every of these materials and I would already place it on my table. Then I bring my children, I tell them, children, I'm going to show you something. So all the preparation is done. Now it is only the presentation, correct? So how do you hold your bottle? Using right hand, left hand, depending upon your dexterity, you're going to be holding. Now, when you show that to children, what do you think that the children are going to do?
Yes, for this.
They're so
Lazy.
desperate to
Excited.
watch you, right? So they're so desperate. Okay, this is something new that they have not seen. Polishing wood is something that they have not seen. So when we prepare the environment, probably it might look like this. So I have a tray, I have my oilcloth, I have a tray, I have a piece of wood. Can you see a small wood piece which has gone out of polish? So in a bowl, I actually have my cotton balls. I can also have Q-tips and I can have some polish, liquid polish or dry polish is what I actually can have it. Now, what do I do? First thing, I have to speak, guys, speak. I have to
First,
bring
oil.
my oil cloth. Then I keep the piece of wood what I have.
The polish you have to
Yes. Yes.
polish.
I keep all my
Cotton
materials.
balls.
You have to take the polish in the
Yes. What is the first thing that I take?
Put the
In
oil
polish.
drop.
Oil paper, oil cloth.
Wood paste. Wood
Yes.
paste.
Yes.
Oil.
The wood I have. Now I need to take a drop of polish. Just a
Yes.
drop of wood polish, not too much. But again, here you need to also make sure that the child will not be allergic also. The child should not be allergic to polishes and other thing. So I can spread the polish using a Q-tip. Now I can use my cotton ball to rub it a little bit more. Okay, so I've spread it properly. I can also use this paper or a cloth, just a small piece of cloth folded in that way, and I gently go rubbing it until the surface becomes polished. Correct? So this is what we actually do over here. So this is my polishing wood exercise. And the child is introduced to this is why? Because we are using lot of wooden material in our classroom. And
तो
most
तुम
of
लोग
the
कैसे
time,
पॉलिश
polish,
करते हैं
yes, the most of
wood
the
को?
time the polish is worn out. So we need to also be able to work on polishing. So whatever is used, you keep it back. Roll back your oil cloth, you keep back everything,
Very
and
good.
settle down. So this is polishing your wood. Moving to the next one. So we are done with polishing. So what do you think the next one could be? We did washing, we did polishing. Now it's all about arrangement, aesthetics, right? So this is where I bring a lot of natural things into my class. So I bring a lot of flowers, I bring a lot of plants, I bring a lot of nature things into my classroom so that the child knows about it. So I can arrange my class with some pebbles and all of that. So arrangement is also important. So every day, how nice it would be in case if I have a flower vase and I actually put one flower. So beautiful it is, right? So my aesthetics would also increase in my class, and we generally use this flower as a peace corner. When the child is upset or something, we always ask them, take that flower, give it to somebody, retrieve it, and again put it back. So we can consider that into to be into a peace corner itself. So today's exercise, what we're going to be working is not creating a peaceful table. Rather, we're going to be arranging flowers. Now, to arrange flowers, what are the different materials I need? I would do this on a table
Yes.
to have a large ball.
Large ball.
Yes,
We
I need
want
to
ball.
have a jug. I need
Balls.
to have a tray. Very good. I need to have a vase. I
Scissors.
have scissors. Definitely, yes, because I involve in cutting whatever is not required. I need to have a
Water.
definitely we need to have some water. Can I also
Cloth.
take one more tray or a container of
2 trays can.
flower? Can I take one more container to keep my unwanted flowers
Yes.
or flowers? Okay. Then I can
2
take
trays.
another one wherein I can put all my waste into it.
Yes.
Correct? And then my vase is also there. So I'm done with all of that. Now, how do I present? Now you tell me. You'll pick up the jug, first thing. You'll fill it up, you'll go to your corner, you fill up the water and come, and you will find a spot on the table. Correct? See, these are certain things which is not given in your book. But when you're presenting this to children, you need to follow these instructions because we follow AMI. AMI is an American Montessori International Guideline. So what you do here is like, as I mentioned earlier, you have to introduce this in a rightful way. So as a preparation task, the teacher will be filling how much of water? Maybe half.
1/4.
Okay, so you will have to fill in. And you will find a spot on your table where to keep it.
तू बहुत अभद्र हो तू.
Okay. So you have to be keeping it over there. Now you show the child where the vases are kept. Ask the child to choose one vase. Ask the child to carry the vase. Let the child hold it with so much of grip. Now again the challenge is, how should I hold the vase? I have
Keep it
to
very
hold at
careful.
the neck of the vase. Always show children you have to be gripping the neck of the vase and then you are going to be bringing it. Okay, and the other hand will go below. One hand on the neck, the other hand at the bottom. So you will hold it that way and you're going to be bringing it. This is important in your presentation. Now you have everything. Now what you should do, you pour water into this vase. How much? Half or full? That is also mattering. How much should
1/4
I fill?
level, ma'am.
How much should I fill, guys? Please concentrate.
1/4 level.
Very
Half.
good. You have to fill not half, you have to fill only 1/4 level, not much. It has to be only 1/4 level. Now stop pouring, wait for the last drop. Okay, children are always in a hurry. Now bring back the jug, put it over here. Now you choose the flower stem. Okay, now you had a flower. Now you choose the flower. Hold the stem, grip the stem. Now, if at all, if you have any unwanted leaves which you don't want it, what would you do?
Cut. You need
Cut
to
it.
cut.
You need to cut that. Unwanted leaves, unwanted stem. If you don't want so much of height, you're going to be cutting it. Okay. Now, you will also notice we're talking about the height, right? The child should be aware of first checking it. Let the child be introduced to check the height. And then is what you will have to introduce the child to cut it. So you will have to make sure this becomes your error of control. Sometimes the child will never do this. We have also done that. We've also done that. No, in a hurry, we cut it and then we're like, oh, we shouldn't have cut that. Right? So always take smaller steps, do it, trial and error. We can always do that. So encourage them. So let them repeat with more number of stems and let them put it into the vase. And once it is all done, now you're also revisiting on using the scissors, cutting them, putting them, again, using it very safely. Right? So all of that. Now you cross the scissors and you actually kept it back. Now, how do I complete this task? I've kept everything on my table. So the flower vase is ready. So I put everything. So how do I complete it? Now the teacher will have to introduce where to keep this vase. Is it on the teacher's desk? Is it on a welcome corner? Is it on the reception area? The teacher will have to encourage. So each day, one child can do this exercise. So every day, that means your vase is also being changed and somebody is keeping fresh flowers in your class, fresh flowers in your school. So that's something that we're going to be working towards. The purpose of this exercise was only to work on the aesthetic sense. I'm building up voluntary movements for children because I want to create a very, very beautiful, scenic, atmospheric classroom in my school. So I would be encouraging my children to actually do it. So nobody would be forcing them to do, they volunteer to do this. So this is arranging the flowers. So a simple exercise of how exactly that we can do with not too many exercises, but you can have it as a flower decoration or flower arrangement competition also. So children, you can ask children to get a lot of flowers on that day and you can do exercises that way too. Okay. So whatever is not required, let them do that. Use a child-sized vase. Okay, so I'm done with the fast forward one. Now everything is ready. So now your voice is actually ready. So that was relating to my arranging.
And
What else? What else can be my caring of environment? We did washing, we did polishing, we did arranging. Clothes. We wore so much of clothes, but we never introduced them to wash the clothes. Right? So washing clothes is also important. Can we do that? Much before washing clothes, you need to be introducing them to an exercise of rinsing. Now, what is rinsing? Okay, so that's rinsing. So you have to be introducing them to rinsing exercises also. This is also helping me to work on my fine motor development. So the more you give them the strengthening exercise to squeeze or to ringe, the child's finger muscles will be strong enough. Okay, so let's quickly see how to do that exercise. So this is one of the video that I have picked. So you can take a hand towel. You can ask the children to dip it into water and let them ringe it. Do more number of times. Let the last
range.
drop of water at least can come down. So this is one thing that you would introduce before introducing washing. You're not introducing them to soap, guys. Just remember, because children might be allergic to detergents. So, but we are still working on one of the steps which is used while washing clothes. So we're just helping them to work on pegging the cloth, making sure the wet cloth is dry, right? So this is one such simple exercise that you would begin with, and slowly you would introduce them to soap and detergents which are really mild. So you do a cleanup and then you put back everything. Once your class is ready, once you feel your class is absolutely ready for doing everything, that is when you would introduce them to your actual class of I could say, like washing clothes and other things. So what could be my minimal age? Maybe like 5 years, 5.5 years, I can start this exercise. Usually we give it in kgs, that is upper kg and lower kg is what we give, keeping 2 bowls of water. Always whatever we do at home, you give that becomes your EPL. Mild detergents is what you give. Ask the children to soak, let them brush a little. There are a couple of instructions what we give it. Let the lather come up. Then you need to also have clean cloths. Okay, and let do the rinsing. Again, dip it here, soak it here. See, we did that in 2 steps. The first exercise was only with clean water, now with soap water also. Okay, so 2 things. Now you're going to be drying. So you can tie up this in your class, put a rope and ask the children to peg it. So this is one of the most loud exercises that the children love to do. That is cloth washing. Okay, let them wash, let them dry. It involves so many things. When they use the pegs, no, so the amount of pressure that they apply again strengthens their hand muscles. They see how a wet cloth needs to be turned into dry, so they will stop putting a lot of water on that. Okay, so they would also be able to squeeze in also more happily on that regard. So this was related to washing cloths. What could be my next thing? We forgot about one thing. Eating is also there. Cooking something. ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇಟ್ಬಿಡಿ ಆಚೆನೆ ಇಟ್ಬಿಡಿ Okay, so we need to also be working on eating, right? So when we cook, when we prepare, so just imagine cooking, serving, cleaning up is also taking care about our environment. They also come under the same thing. So what do we do over here is like when I actually need to set up a table for tea or anything. So do that kind of a simple exercise wherein you are helping the child to work on setting up something. Okay, so you can set it up. So how can we set up a particular place for children so that they are introduced to setting a table? So in this example, I'm taking a very simple one which talks about how exactly I need to be working on setting. So you can always mark something. Where should I position my plate? Where should I position my spoon? Where should I keep my fork and glass? Okay. Now what I could do over here is like children are never introduced to pouring, right? So we never fill water and keep it. They have to transfer it from a jug. So how much they need it is what they are going to be drinking. We don't know. So we always give them an empty glass, right? So now you can do this, Marcus. In Montessori environment, you also get this mats which is readily available. So you can use it in your classrooms also and encourage them to eat. If you don't have it, use a chart paper. Let the child learn about it, keeping the lunch box in the center, the fork here and the spoon here and the water bottle, and they can always be able to do that. Okay. Now I have the basic material. Let's begin with that. I keep the cup aside. I take the plate. Keep the plate. Always reinforce on the circular position. Spoon goes to the spoon position. The fork goes to the fork. So beautiful. See, setting up a table. The glass comes here. Now I have a tiny mug. I can pour water, how much ever I need it. I pour the water. I also keep a napkin. That's a soup bowl. I can always use my napkin if I need it. So my everything is ready. Now I'm ready to go for eating. So I have set the table and the table is set and it is kept ready. So this is the first step towards helping others to keep our environment neat, clean also. You will know about an etiquette of dining. So children are introduced to etiquette of dining. They know to position their places and they would be able to eat better in an environment. So that gives me a sense of working towards it. Okay. So all these things are my exercises wherein I don't have to be forgetting about keeping my area clean. So we get into exercises like sweeping also. Now, when I work on sweeping, since I don't give the real dust for children, I create a small space. I sprinkle some waste there and I ask the children to gather the waste into that particular location using a brush. Okay, now I collect all that thing into the brush and I discard that into a bin. Now, this has to be your preparatory exercise. So, it can't be toys, it has to be the real dustpan and the brush. And you have to bring all the dust into that square or circle that you have actually made. So, you have this exercise to be done. This is related to your sweeping. So, you introduce sweeping. So, we don't introduce mopping at the younger classes, but we would definitely be able to work. Clear, all of you? So, that covers our taking care of oneself.
Environment.
Yes. Now the fourth part is related to my grace and courtesy. Now this is where children are introduced to many skills. For example, why do we need grace and courtesy exercises, guys? So to give it in a very short way, what happens here is like we are all working under what I could say is a social structure wherein we often meet more people, right? We meet more people, and children sometimes they don't know how to react. Sometimes they don't know how to respond. Sometimes, if they know to react and respond, they're neither graceful nor courteous. We agree on that? So, what we do here is like as trainers and teachers, we need to introduce lessons for children which is on grace and courtesy, which will help my child to work on my vocabulary. It helps them to work on their actions. It helps them to work on building the awareness and responsiveness of what's behind, what's around them. Correct? So, what we are going to be working over here is like on the first phase, the child should be self conscious. They should be conscious of what they are doing. Okay? They should be conscious. If the child is not conscious, the child will never try. So, first thing is like we have to ensure that the child is becoming self conscious to work. Only then we would be able to work with the child on this. Now, what could all be my exercises? I introduce certain exercises so that the child becomes more graceful, more courteous. So, what's my first exercise I do? I introduce the child how to greet someone. How do I greet somebody? When I meet someone, how to say hello, how to shake hand, how to say our name. Hello, my name is Divya. How to interact. When the child starts to greet one another every day morning, when they start talking about others, when they start thanking the other child for helping them, that's when the child becomes much, much graceful. Now, what could be my other things? See, sorry is difficult for a child to understand. So I can always go with please. I can always go with thank you. So introduce lessons wherein you can actually ask a child to work on these two words. Can you please pass this to me? Thank you very much for doing that. Can you please sit over there? Thank you very much. So acknowledge. So acknowledgement is important by saying thank you. Okay. When there has to be an interruption, you always say excuse me. Correct? So excuse me is also important because that's a courtesy lesson in my class. So tell children how exactly we need to excuse ourselves. Yeah. When we yawn, we all yawn when we are tired, when we are bored, when we are exhausted, when we have listened that many times and you already know about it, right? There are many reasons for it. It's natural. But I have to keep the class dynamic. So how do I do? If I'm yawning, I have to cover my mouth, or I have to turn towards the side, or I have to bend down and I have to yawn. Coughing. Cough. How do I cough? I have to always put over here. My elbows, I have to cough over here. Okay, so that's there. Offering help. That is also an important thing. Expiring admiration. So can we admire one thing about everybody today? I'm putting everybody on the gallery mode. Each one can admire somebody on something. Everybody on video mode, please. Admire somebody on something.
Napkin, ma'am. Napkin marking.
Admire the participants. Admire the participants. Usha ma'am,
No,
I'm
ma'am.
loving the sari that you're wearing. I
I
admire.
admire the grandmother who has come here for her grandchildren.
Okay, so Usha gets 2 points. Usha, okay, I like the sari. She said, like, I love because you're doing that for your grandchildren. Okay, she's admiring about her. Yes.
I admire Divya ma'am for her knowledge she is sharing
The
with
ma'am
us.
is exceptional today, so no admiration for ma'am, only the other participants. Yes, Sonali, pick anyone.
Nagarevati, ma'am. I can see her. So
Uh-huh.
I think she has a beautiful smile which reaches her eyes. So I really like that.
Okay,
I admire
Nagarevati. Yes, Nagarevati, yes. Over to you. Revati, you're muted. You're muted. Nalini ma'am said you have beautiful eyes that radiates in your learning.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
I
I see
admire
many teachers involving in this training. I love it actually. We are learning so much daily. I love many teachers who are participating in this.
Can we have admiration for one person there?
I
Pick
could
them.
not see many. I can say someone who came with kids math. I could not remember her name here. I could not see.
So pick anybody from here. It could be any
I,
person.
I,
Technical
I think
support.
from school, a center head, many group of teachers who are there, Nalini ma'am, or I mean, who are there in the group.
Okay.
So many.
Admire one person. Come on, that can't be that difficult. Look at them. On
admire
spot, you have to admire. Oh, look at that lovely curly hair. I love your hair. I admire you on spot. I don't have to know who you are. You are a center.
I think Pallavi Chatterjee, ma'am. I can see her beautiful long hair. Uh, she's opened up today, and I mean she's laughing and she's blushing also.
See, you made somebody blush and laugh. That's something that we need. Yes. Can we pick on? Pallavi, yes, you pick and admire somebody. So we're going to get a lot of admiration, and that's going to be the last chapter for us for today. That's the reason I kept admiration towards the end. So we end our session with a happy note. Yes, Pallavi, over to you. Quick, quick. It has to be really quick so we can wind quickly. Admire somebody.
Ma'am, so many teachers are involved here for that. All the teachers and you for so managing so many things.
No, no.
And
Let me keep the lesson very simple. Admiration is something which comes out of grace. When you see a person, now I've put everybody on the gallery mode. Admiration topic is when you look at somebody, something comes gracefully to you. For example, if I'm looking at Sushma, did you notice the color combination of the light pink and the maroon goes so well? So I was thinking, okay, I got that combination. Probably I should try that out for tomorrow's outfit. Okay, I'll have a pink jacket and a maroon thing. It goes very well. So I can admire her dressing for today. I can say, what a lovely combination you're wearing today, Sushma. So that has to be on spot. I don't want to talk about what knowledge you have.
It's a
On
first
spot
sight.
admiration. Pallavi, I think I made it clear to you. Yes. Look at your fellow members. Give any spontaneous. Make them happy.
I can't see now Shweta, but other days I see with a small kid. He is attending the.
Again, you're going wrong with the lesson.
I
Again, you're
am
going wrong with the lesson. See what happened? This is called miscommunication, misinterpreting certain lessons. Admiration is a simple thing. When I see everybody, I have to give a spontaneous admiration.
I admire
Namaste,
women.
your headphones are awesome. Swati, I see you tied your hair very good enough. Pallavi, you're wearing such a purple color. That's one of my favorite. Shobha, I always like the smile that you have it on your face. I love the spectacles what Hamsa is wearing and a good big bindi that attracts her so much. I see Rupa there. Did you see the accolades behind her? I see so many medals. I really appreciate on that. Lata, I can see so many utensils behind. Probably we can pick one from there to quickly do our EPL exercises, right? So Monica and Nagaveni, they both have the same headphones. They go together. Priya, you have got a wonderful maroon background, which is matching with our Deepti, which is matching with Sushma and our Swati. Bingo. You are all three are wearing a similar colors together. So do spontaneous things. Don't
I
think
can't
much.
see everyone, but Tulasi ma'am, I can see background is very beautiful.
Background is beautiful. Yeah, tell now, tell
Very,
now you're coming
very,
to the limelight. Admire somebody, give them
very
positive
organized,
things.
very well, that is
To be very,
organized.
it's very simple, like how Nalini said. Pallavi, you have such a long hair. I'm liking your long hair, which made you feel happy. You blushed. The happiness what one share, so that's admiration. Okay, so I don't want to go deeper into that. So that was our today's lesson on expressing admiration. So we always need to do, because awareness of our body, awareness and having control on our movements, looking forward to use the right vocabulary at the right time is the essence of our grace and courtesy lesson. So you should never be hurting anybody's feelings. You like it, you don't like it. Correct? Say, for example, when somebody offers me something, maybe they want to surprise me, but maybe I don't like surprises. They bring you something. How many of you genuinely like that surprise? How many of you like surprises? First of all, I don't like surprises. I'll be like, it's waste of money, waste of time. Anyways, I don't use it. You should have asked me, I would have given you a better option, right? Something useful. So they don't like. But what happens? We cannot hurt our loved ones because they've got it with so much. So what am I doing over there? I'm respecting the thought which that person had about me, that I made something in their mind. They thought about me that I need to give something for her. So we have to be more respectful on that. So what's the first thing that you say? Thank you so much for bringing that gift to me. Yeah. And then you can express your liking, your not liking, depending on who that person is. If it's your spouse, you can say, is this the one? Don't you know what I wear, what I do, what I like it? And then if it's your sister, probably you can say more words. If your mother, you can say something. But if it's a friend, your friend will know your choices. No doubt about that, right? So they might have it. So only thing is, like, don't hurt anybody's feelings. So that is also a lesson on our grace and courtesy, to be more thankful for the thought that somebody is wanting to do something for all of this. So that keeps our EPL lessons intact, and that covers our entire lessons. So good job, all of you. So a 3-day lesson on our EPL. So we have covered it, not to a larger extent, but I think we have covered the overview of it. So I want each one of you to go through each of the exercises in detail. Every exercise is demonstrated. Anytime that you have difficulty in having these demonstrations laid out at your classes, always reach out to me. So maybe I can share you some reference recordings. All these recordings, many of them are sent by the students itself. So we have a good repository of many students who have demonstrated these exercises and they have submitted. So especially like Nalini ma'am and Dr. Sujata, all of you, you have to collect these lessons from your students so that you can use them to present it to your other fellow students. It will always be helpful. So it will give you more of a practice session for all of us to actually work with. And you students, whenever there is a practical demonstration, give your 200%. Come over prepared. They can ask you more questions on anything. Why do you do that? What is the other skill? Always they would cross question you in your Viva. And your Viva marks would carry 100. Okay, 100 marks would be your Viva. So that's one of the reason also that you need to be over prepared for your lessons. So anything that they can pick, even if you don't know, relate the content and say something. Even if you don't have a material, look around your classroom, your environment, you will find something which is related to working on that skill. So never ask, I don't have this, so I did not do that. So what we should do, we should apply a little bit of our brain and then figure out what can be done. The only reason what we are working over here is the skill development. It is the skill of pouring, skill of washing, skill of drying, skill of something, whatever that you want to work with. So that is the skill that we're going to be looking forward for it. Okay. So thank you very much for joining in on time. Loads of love, lots of respect to each one of you. God bless you. On a count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We take our group photograph. So that's our usual practice. That gives me my attendance. If your video is off, you're absent. No matter you're there for the entire day, somebody asked, I was there for the whole day, but you said I'm absent. That's how I count my attendance. Okay, so we will know who has not left the class in between. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Bye,
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye bye.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very
Bye-bye.
much. See you all. Thank you. Thank you, Padma. Thank you, Rashmi.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, Sushma. Bye, Pallavi. Bye, Shafali's kid. See you. What's your name? What's your name?